like to thank Mr. Keith for sharing that insight. Please stay with us. Now, looking at Russia and Ukraine, Russia has once again launched a major attack on Ukraine on February 22nd, targeting these countries' energy infrastructure with dozens of drones and missiles. Kyiv and the Black Sea port of Odesa were among the locations which were hit. The strikes killed at least one person and wounded 5 others, with significant damage reported in several regions, including Kyiv, Dnipro, Kirovohrad, and Mykolaiv. Ukrainian President Zelensky has condemned the attacks, stating that Moscow is focusing more on strikes than diplomacy. The Ukrainian Air Force has intercepted many of the missiles and drones. Russia has conducted nearly daily attacks on Ukraine's energy sector since its full-scale invasion starting on February 2022. With a clear aim to disrupt power and break the country's resolve, Moscow continues to deny targeting civilians, but claims that attacking infrastructure reduces Ukraine's ability to wage war. Now we welcome Mr. Colin Chong-Yu-Keith. Thank you very much, Mr. Keith, for staying with us.
Thank you.
Now, looking at this, it has entered 4th year now, and negotiations are still continuing without any breakthrough. We can only speculate here, but in case there is a breakthrough and U.S. President Trump especially is involved in these negotiations or mediation efforts between Russia and Ukraine, how do you think the credit would be divided into? Do you think UN has any share in that, or do you think Board of Peace or President Trump himself?
Well, for this case, as we have known, President Trump has invested greatly into resolving this, and we've seen how there's if it was left to President Biden or any of his predecessors, this won't come to this stage of the negotiation level, and we have seen also how President Trump has repeatedly used the last resort, the last piece of diplomatic resolve to ensure that there's no escalation, not only for this case, but for the case of Iran also, as we have seen now. He prefers a deal rather than an outright use of force, and that would be the last resort. And hence we have seen this level of discussion and negotiations, but this usage of strikes on the energy infrastructures of Ukraine, they have been consistent, as I've stated, and it's meant also to increase the leverage and to showcase the ability and capacity of Russia to continue to impose costs, even as talks are still ongoing. And this is also meant to disrupt the morale of the Ukrainian people and the resistance, and of course to test the support system by the West, and of course by Europe especially. And of course, this is also meant to swarm the air defenses of Ukraine, to raise repair burdens and to complicate industrial output. Those are the technical impact. But as we have mentioned earlier, that I don't see the role of the UN here. We have seen that to be futile for the past 3 or 4 years now. And only with President Trump, we have seen the momentum picking up pace since last year, and that the inclusion of Witkoff and the team, as I've stated, will be of great importance here in terms of sealing a deal. However that might be, but we have seen how red lines have been set, how key sensitive topics have been discussed, which have not been discussed before in the past. And President Trump, as I've mentioned, is deeply invested here, and he'll continue to ensure that a deal is made and diplomacy still prevails, and with his great team, with his great lineup of his team. But still, peace through strength and the use of force are separate here in the case of Ukraine. And he prefers this strategic, diplomatic capacity to continue, despite the limitation, despite the various roadblocks that we have seen with discontinued attacks, and also the resistance, being seen on the part of Ukraine as well, and from Europe. But this is slightly different from the case of Iran. But still, the fundamentals still remain the same, that President Trump still is a man of peace, and that only with his own personal invested, posture, that we can see that, there will be, as I've stated, I'm very optimistic of the weeks to come with the continued engagement with Wickhow's team, and hopefully we will see some breakthroughs here, after 4 years of impulse. So you are right to point out that, as I've argued also, President Trump is still the key person, in this whole impulse for the past 4 years as well.
With that, I would like to thank Mr. Colin Chung Yukit for joining us and sharing that insight. Thank you very much.